to see some of you during the event. I hope you enjoyed yourself at the event. And if you are interested to adopt any of those technology, please contact us, the Tech and Go team. We're very happy to connect with you to see how we can support you in your digitalization. Okay, today power up your IT resources. This is definitely a topic that is very close to many of our hearts. And today we have a very super packed session for you. We will be committing a large part of today's session to 3 speakers, whom I will introduce them later. And towards the end, NCSS will share the resources and the information on our new IT professional services grant that we have just recently launched. And then we will close with a Q&A session. Okay. All right, so today's webinar, we are going to talk about these 2 domains, which is the digitalization and the people domain, because we are touching on IT and resources, and we hope that we will be giving you some considerations and insights to strengthen your agency's organizational health across these 2 domains. Okay, next slide. Some admin instructions, because this is a webinar setting. Please drop your questions throughout the session using the Q&A function. So we will be going through the questions at the end, toward the end of the session. And we will be also punching out some URLs throughout the session via the chat function. So do look out for those links. You can copy paste, you can click on them, and just do a favorite to store those links. Okay, now that we have all the admin instructions out of the way. So my name is Tracy. Okay, welcome everyone. And today together with me, we have 3 other speakers. And just to do a quick warm up or just a quick icebreaker, we're going to launch a poll, right? Just to see, just to do a quick profiling on where our SSAs are. Right, so these are 3 statements that are that we've collected, right, from SSAs regarding IT resources. So are you a small organization? You find you have a challenge with very few people having significant understanding of IT issues, or you think that the cost of getting a IT person is really a high cost, or are you considering building your talent pipeline in-house? Right. Which of these statements do you resonate with the most? Okay, let us know. Okay, we'll give you some time. Let's see, we got where we are. This is interesting, right, to see, what is the makeup or the profile of the participants that we have. Okay, I see that it's still moving a little bit. Any more responses? 3, 2, 1. Okay, we can close the poll now. Let's take a look. Okay, it looks like the cost factor is really the main challenge for most of us here. That we know that it is important to get a skilled person, but cost is a major challenge. Okay, so let's see how some of the sharings that we're going to do in this webinar is going to help alleviate that. In fact, these statements are the actual verbatim of some of the SSAs that we have surveyed as part of our Digital Acceleration Index survey conducted in 2021. So indeed, getting the right person for the job at all times is really a challenge. So what actually are we referring to when we say IT person, right? This is a common phrase. We say, oh, we don't have IT person. So what does that IT person actually do, right? Yeah, so the IT person, as we can see here in the ICT skill sets framework, this is borrowed from IMDA. So they have done up quite a comprehensive skill set framework to help us to define, what actually do we mean by IT person. So they have defined the ICT skill sets via 7 main domains. And this refers to the diverse IT talent pool, that organizations should have in order to meet all their internal IT needs. So you can see there are domains related to data, to infrastructure, software, And then strategy governance, operations, cybersecurity, there's a big part there, as well as sales and marketing. So we know that actually not all organizations would need all these skill sets, or maybe they would need a combination of these in different extents. Yeah, so what NCSS try to do is that in our Tech Angle scheme, we try to provide support to SSAs across all these domains. And in our current consultancy offering, we're already supporting SSAs in terms of IT strategy, in terms of cybersecurity, digital marketing. So in the new IT professional services grant, we will seek to provide more support in the area here, that is data, infrastructure, and software, which I will cover in greater detail under the resource sharing portion. Okay, so this brings us to really the crux of the matter here. Next slide. So from our survey, and also from the poll that we just did, really sourcing for additional talent, and financing is really the top constraints that are slowing down the digital transformation in SSAs. So what is the right thing to do? Is it really to do in-house building up of digital expertise, or should we outsource? Should we buy? Yeah, so I don't think that's a really straightforward one right answer, because it really depends on a myriad of considerations and factors. And many a times, definitely it is the middle road. There is a combination of build and buy, depending on your objectives and your timeline. So some of the considerations that we can look at when we're thinking through, for every project, should we build or should we buy? So this is actually the long list of things. If you go to ChatGPT, okay, so they might bounce this back to you. You ask, what should I consider when I want to build or buy IT resources? Okay, we have ChatGPT right now, on your browser. Just try this, right? And see whether they give you the same answer here. Okay, so I think really these are the key considerations. I think some of our experience, speaking as SSAs, it depends on, whether the kind of security compliance level that you need to comply with, the requirement, especially in security, and so if you need a high level of security, definitely then you may consider that I want to have my in-house people than to outsource it. And I really want to highlight the final point about collaboration and integration. So this may be not a very common factor that people think through, but really if your organization has many different programs, have different systems that requires talking with each other, integration, then you may really need to consider about having an in-house team, because that kind of organizational specific expertise or knowledge might be quite difficult to acquire for an external vendor. Yeah, so you may want to consider having someone in-house to really look through the entire seamless collaboration and integration of all your systems. Okay, so we'll just put this list at the back of our mind for now. And as we go through the sharings, then you can think through, is it a short-term project? Is it something that you want to acquire in the longer term? What is the domain of the skill set? Can you buy it at this moment, or is it better to acquire in-house and long-term? So we hope that you get your answers to some of those questions that's been burning in your mind. Okay, all right. So now I'm just going to hand this time to our speakers. So we are really, really happy and excited that we have these three speakers with us today that comes to us with a different perspective. All right, first off, we're going to have Anita. So Anita is no stranger to many of us. So she is the CTO of Touch. So in fact, she has been with Touch for 20 years, and she is now overseeing the transformation office. And today she's going to share with us the digital transformation journey at Touch, as well as the experience in looking at UI UX and how that benefited them. What is the implications of looking at UI UX design from the perspective of the SSA as well as the client. And next up, we have Jisheng. So Jisheng is our techie person here. So he's the domain expert. He's a senior consultant at Telstra Purple. So he is the main consultant that supported Touch in their UI UX project. And he's going to share with us some of the UI UX design concepts and how that actually elevates user experience and how we can consider about improving ourselves in that area. And finally, we have Caesar. Caesar is the director of enterprise sales in Lithan. Lithan is our point of service provider that will work with us to support SSAs in our new IT professional services grant. So Caesar is also a veteran with 20 years of experience in ICT consultancy, as well as vendor and partner management. And he will be sharing with us more about building in-house expertise. What are the kinds of training that you can consider for your staff? Okay, I'm going to hand the time right now to Anita. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. And I'm doing a sound check here. You can all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just noticed a typo on my declination, and it is no fault of NCSS. Maybe I missed that when I proofread it. I am not the Chief Technology Officer. I am the Chief Transformation Officer of Touch Community Services. Now, what is the difference? Simply because I do not have a tech background, and like a lot of my colleagues from the social service agency, I have a social science background. I have a master's in sociology. The real tech person is my colleague here, who is Mr. Kelvin Han. He is the head of technology in our organization. And I will explain a bit how all of this comes under the Transformation Office. But first, let me introduce the agency to you. Touch Community Services has been around for 32 years, and we are a multi-service agency with 23 different services. And you can see on this slide, there are 6 groups. Services from the family, with the elderly, with the special needs, and Touch Wellness Group that I also oversee, where we talk about mental health, we talk about cyber wellness, we talk about physical and social wellness. And then we have the Transformation Office, which I will explain a bit later, that also looks after the caregiver support. And then we have the Touch Professional Deputies and Donees. So you see, Touch is a relatively big social service agency with very diverse programs and services. We had to find a way of helping everybody to move forward, especially when we realized that digitalization was going to be a new movement and momentum in the social service sector. We asked ourselves what we will do with this piece of technology and how does technology help us to serve our clients better. So that is always at the back of our minds. So let me just explain to you what transformation takes place in Touch. There are different transformation enterprises or projects or activities that the Transformation Office carries out. I, as the Chief Transformation Officer, look after the Transformation Office that is responsible for many of these strategic projects that future-ready Touch in different ways. So there are 5 different directions that we take, or 5 pillars of enterprises that we embark on to ensure that we prepare Touch for the foreseeable future. The first piece is our talent piece, and this piece is important for all social service agencies. We talk about our talent development, our career pathway, our competency framework, whether the people who join our organization actually find a fulfilling career in Touch. That is important for us. People is always our first asset. And then the second pillar of enterprises that we do is the tech piece. So the tech piece is important because it provides a digital infrastructure that gives us resilience in the context and in the face of disruption. So this is just one of the few pieces of work that we do under the Transformation Office. The other piece that we work on is our service relevance. That means our different programs, the 23 programs that you just saw on the slide, are they still needed? Do we review them? How do we tweak them to make sure that we are relevant and answering the question of the time? The fourth one is our location. Where are we situated? Do we have accessibility? Are people able to reach us? Those are considerations for expansion. And special projects, these are projects that we incubate because they have got strategic value to our future growth and development. So very quickly, this summarized for you what kind of transformation project takes place in our organization. And transformation, not all transformation is digital. We have digital transformation that is related specifically to technology. And what is this? The next slide. So for us, digital transformation takes place when we are developing our organizational and technology-based capabilities to allow us to continuously improve our customer experience. And this must be done over a sustained period of time to allow us to have competitive advantage. There are three modules that we are working on mainly: the donation, volunteer, and event management module. There is a client case and counseling management module. There is a finance and accounting management module. And these three modules put together forms what we call the one-touch system. I am simplifying it for you. The one-touch system is a lot more complex than these three, but these are the three main things that we are working on because these are the things that impact our interaction with the external public. The next slide. And when we first embarked on the digital transformation journey, we had multiple challenges. I have grouped them into three baskets for you for easy reference, and this is in the knowledge, skills, and attitude basket, which is familiar to most of us. In terms of knowledge, we definitely did not have technical knowledge to even understand, not to mention design digital solutioning. And that's why a person like Kelvin, who is trained in tech, is very, very important to mediate our gap in terms of knowledge. And in terms of skill set, when we started to roll out the project, we realized that we were very lacking in some of these critical core skills that would help our tech project to be successful. The first one is technical vendor management skills. We manage vendors in SSAs, but managing technical vendor is very different. And you need domain expertise to be able to communicate with them, to speak the same language, and to work in their culture so that you can achieve effectiveness and ensure that your project can be delivered in a timely way. And then that leads to my second point. We didn't have technical project management skills. Again, it's a very different skill set from event management that SSAs may be familiar with. Technical project management requires you to have technical knowledge that can go into the line items when you're dealing with the vendors. And all this without technical support, it is very difficult for the SSA to be successful in managing the tech project. And the third one, after you have settled all your technology solutions, you need your staff to adopt the tech platforms. You need change management skills to ensure that the staff know how to use the platform, they are using it correctly, effectively, and you can actually achieve the productivity outcome that you intended in the beginning. These are three very important skill sets that we found we were lacking in, and we had to do something about it in order to facilitate the digital transformation journey further. And finally, for all SSAs, the fear of the unknown is real. We are not sure what is going to happen if we change our way of working with our clients. We worry that our services will be disrupted, and that sometimes holds us back. And the second thing about attitude is that we are so overwhelmed by delivering the service that we have no time to deal with another tech project, because the needs of our clients always must come first. On a daily basis, we meet the needs of our clients first. Then after that, we come back to the office, we have to deal with this tech project that is in our lab because we need it to further the work that we are doing with the clients. So recognizing all these challenges, we decided that we had to do something about organizational capabilities. And the first thing we realized was it was impossible to upskill existing employees with key digital skills, for example, UI and UX expertise, or to be app developers. There is no way we could have done that. And it was difficult to recruit and retain the digital talent as well, because we are just not a tech industry. We don't have the tech career pathway, the salary compensation package that will make them stay in the social service sector. And so we decided that we had to do something else for ourselves. So with the help of Kelvin, we introduced the Agile and the Design Thinking Framework to some 25 key service staff to better manage tech projects. And this project actually sits in their community programs. So for the Agile and the Thinking Design workshop, we are very grateful that NCSS Tech and Go consultancy subsidies for the IT project coaching fund helped us to materialize this training. And through this two framework, this two workshop, we were able to better conceptualize our app for our different programs, for our different community programs. So we built capability in two areas first, the Agile thinking and the design thinking. And then in order to make the one-touch system, which I introduced earlier, a bit more user-friendly, we worked with Telstra Purple to improve the user experience of that system. And that part, I will leave Jising to talk more about it. And you will benefit from it because the user experience is so key in ensuring that your technology platforms are actually adopted by your stakeholders. And the next slide. And so we embarked on this IT professional services grant. We are one of the 5 agencies to pilot this grant. And we took this grant and then we commissioned Telstra Purple to do this UX study for us to help us to improve our user experience of the one-touch system. And this is a key facilitator in helping us to partner a tech vendor to make our platform better. So Telstra Purple has come back with a report and we are going to implement the changes, and hopefully at the next session, we can report to you the real achievable savings in terms of time and productivity because we have embarked on this project. And finally, this is my last slide. No, there is another slide, next slide, yeah. So what did we learn from this partnership? So the question of to build and to buy. I think Tracy has already given us a thinking about this earlier when she made the introduction. We recommend that you think about building when your in-house tech capabilities are available. So for us, this is such a case. We have a person like Kelvin and a team of IT tech people who support our projects. And we need that in-house because like what Tracy mentioned, our projects are a bit more complex and it is unique to our agency's operations. And there are no ready solutions to buy off the shelf because we need to be talking to so many people at the same time. So given our diversity, we felt that we had to customize something that is more relevant to our organization. And a small agency, or if your agency is not like us, not touched, you are not touched, and you have a different set of considerations, we recommend that you consider buying if you do not have in-house tech capabilities, and especially if your projects are simple and straightforward and there are no ready solutions, I think you can look around for tech companies that may subsidize non-profit agencies, and some of this will come up in the Q&A later. We hope to give you some information regarding this. And also NCSS has a suite of capability grants for technology development. I strongly encourage all SSAs to tap on that as well. And with that, I end my sharing. And I hope that gives you a glimpse of what TAT has gone through in terms of our digital transformation. And I hope that kind of like, you can recognize some of this part of the journey because at SSA, I think we go through a very similar path as we try something new, as we try to improve in terms of how we deliver our service, so that at the end of the day, our client will be the main beneficiary of all these technology projects that we embark on. With that, I thank you. And I'm supposed to pass the time to Jising, who will give you more information about his methodology and how he makes a recommendation for UX and UI experience. Over
Thanks
to you,
so much,
Jising.
Anita. Just want to do a sound check. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, okay, we can hear
All right,
you.
perfect. So let's go to the next slide, please. Awesome. So thanks so much for that, Anita. And no, before. Yeah, this one. So as what Anita has shared just now, Touch has engaged Telstra Purple to look into UI UX study on how they can improve the One Touch system. So One Touch is a massive internal system that's used by Touch employees day in, day out. There were initially some problems that was given by them that it was very complex to use. It takes too many clicks for them to get to what they want. And through our UI UX project engagement together with Touch and Telstra Purple, I'm super proud to say that we are very proud of the outcomes that we achieved. 59% reduction in number of clicks, potentially if we implement all of the changes that we propose in the UI mockups. So this is just a sneak peek of what UI UX can do, in terms of improving productivity for your organizations. Next slide, please. And yeah, so definitely I'll be sharing a bit more on what other UI UX activities and benefits that it can bring to your organizations. My name is Jisheng. I'm a senior consultant from Telstra Purple. So I'm super excited to be here sharing more about UI UX. Next slide. This is the agenda for today that I prepared. So I'll just start very quickly to just introduce the organization that I'm from, Telstra and Telstra Purple. Then after that, we'll go into the UI UX concepts, what UI UX can do to help elevate your organizations to the next level, and what are the activities that you can expect from working with us in a UI UX project, how long it would take, what the team structure look like. We'll go through all of that in section 2. And then last but not least, we'll just come back again to the Touch case study to just help you do a bit more visualization on the UI concept that I just explained and see it in action on how we have worked with Touch for this UI UX project. Next slide. So who we are as Telstra. So Telstra is the largest telco company based in Australia, and we have one of the largest subsea cable networks in the world. And we have a global presence of 28,000 staff and more than 20 countries worldwide. And one of it, next slide, is Telstra. Next slide, please. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you go to the next slide, please? Awesome. So yeah, so one of the countries that Telstra is also operating in is in Singapore and South Asia. So we have been in the region for more than 75 years now, and we employ more than 300 people in the office here in Singapore itself. And going to the next slide very quickly. Is Telstra Purple. So Telstra is the parent organization, and then Telstra Purple is the professional and consultancy arm for Telstra. So Telstra Purple has nothing to do with the color purple, but actually it's a combination of two words, people and purpose. So the branding is that we are supposed to be the people that bring purpose to technology. And I think that, gels very well with what the work we are doing with Touch as well, giving purpose to technology. We are a global team of many different skill sets, from networking, cloud, security, software development, data, and design, of course, what we are here to talk about. And just very quickly on the three main section on the top, on the right-hand side, adaptive infrastructure. So we have cloud consultants who can help in terms of moving your workload to the cloud and looking after cybersecurity. On digital culture, we look at how we can have a modern workplace experience in terms of Teams calling, your Microsoft Suite, SharePoint, Outlook, all that kind of stuff. We have a dedicated set of consultants for that. More of where I sit is the digital innovation side. So I look after more of the UI UX experience, how we can build that as via software development into a custom built apps. And we also look into data and analytics. So that's Telstra and Telstra Purple on a high level. Go to the next slide, please. And we have a very strong relationship with Microsoft. Last year, actually, we won the Partner of the Year from Microsoft for our work with Partner of the Year for Societal Impact. And that's really given to us because of our thought leadership and our capabilities of what we have demonstrated with Microsoft technologies in the non-profit sector. So we do have very strong domain knowledge as well as industry knowledge to know what is the non-profits organization would look after. And almost every year we have been winning at least one Microsoft Partner of the Year award. So we are very, very heavily invested with the Microsoft technology stack. Next slide. So yeah, with that introduction out of the way, now let's get into the gist of today's webinar on the UI UX concept. So I'll just share more about why is UI UX important, how it can help your organizations. So let's get into that. The next slide. the first one is driving higher employee productivity. So this is the one that Touch has came to us about. Almost every organization has some sort of back office operation. You may have some sort of manual data entry that you need to do day in, day out. Similar like how Touch has a one-touch system. But in the past, they were spending too much time on filling up all of these forms, filling out all of this data, taking a lot of time to go from point A to point B. UI UX design can really come in and help us understand the entire process, the entire UI experience, and we can help you reimagine and envision a more streamlined future and how we can have a more flattened UI layer, how we can make it easier for people to use so that they don't have to read a manual every time, and really giving that saving employees time so that they can focus on you delivering work to your end customers, your end clients. Next slide. So another way of how UI UX can potentially help SSA such as yourself is, of course, in driving out more donations. So research has shown that having a good user experience, displaying the right information in the right places, and having a very clear call to action, donate button, all of that is very important for us to kind of drive out more donation and get people to donate to your organization. What we can do in terms of UI UX project, we can come in, look at the good and the bad, analyze exactly what is what we should highlight more, what is the information that you need, how do we place the making the donation process as easy, as seamless as possible. That's one of the things that UI UX can come in and help drive more donations as well. The next slide is more on volunteers. So for almost every organizations over here, I believe most of you will need to work with a lot of volunteers. And UI UX can again look at how we can streamline the entire volunteer experience and make it more seamless and easier for volunteers to be onboarded to your organization, all the way from registering your interest, getting onboarded, how many forms do they need to fill out, how many fields they need to go through, how do we make it as easy as possible. When they actually go out to do their volunteer activities, how do we have a more seamless, maybe there's an app that they can use to just easily document down whatever activities that they are doing. So entire process of how we engage with volunteers can also be considered using a UI UX project that we can come in, take a look and see and envision how we can improve the entire volunteer experience. The next slide. So those are some of the key benefits of how you can get out of the UI UX project with us. And I just want to share more about what are the activities that you can expect if you embark on a journey on a project with us. So the activities is heavily grounded and follows this about double diamond methodology. So this is an industry best practice methodology that we follow. And all of the activities here will follow the, maybe we go to the next slide. So in the first diamond, the first diamond in terms of diverging out, so you see the first diamond is kind of coming out of the diamond to kind of form the first shape. So the diverging is thinking about is about the divergent in thinking. So in the first part of the project, we will come in and ask a lot of questions. We research and discover what our users want, what are the different users involved in the system, what are their goals and their pain points. So you see here, I listed some of the, on the left-hand side, the 4 hour per week. So that's kind of like a guideline of how many hours you can expect to spend, because I think some of this are asked in the pre-questionnaire, to expect how long it would take for this kind of like, what is the commitment like for your organization when you work with us. So typically that's about 4 hours per week so that we can ask the relevant questions, get the right people into the workshops. Besides just understanding the user, we also need to understand the technology and the systems in place. So we completely go and ask all the questions about, what systems that you have in your organization. Overall, what processes you need to follow when you get a new customer onboarded, for example, when you want to do a new volunteering activity, what is the process at the moment? So from all of this raw data, we kind of go to the next step, which is kind of the converging down in terms of thinking. We try to make sense of all of our understandings and make sense of all the data that we have captured. So what are the key themes that stand out, and what are the categorizations that we can make and make sense of some of this information? we prioritize them, all of these different pain points. We vote on things like, is this a low-hanging fruit that we can implement first? Is this easier to do, or is this more difficult that we can park for the next phase? So the entire first diamond takes about roughly 2 to 8 weeks, depending on what kind of systems that we are talking about. But this is just really a guideline of the duration of what you would expect in the first diamond. In the second slide. So in the second diamond is where, after we have understood all of the problems, all of the pain points that your users are facing, we go and ask how might we improve the situation. So we start looking into ideas and diverging our thinking again to kind of ideate as many as possible different UI mockups, different UI iterations, so that you can kind of visualize, we have this pain point in the past, we can fix it using this new flattened UI layout, for example. And then we'll go back and forth with you. We'll do a lot of rounds of review. We show you what we've built, and then we get feedback, and then we iterate and repeat again. And finally, we give you in a nice format in the PDF, so you can use this for you to share with all of the team internally to get a buy-in, and also for you to share potentially with your developers for you to move on to the next stage after this UI mockup is done. So the entire second diamond usually takes about 4 to 20 weeks. Again, it depends. So this is just like a rough gauge number. And next slide. This is the kind of the team setup of what you would expect if you embark on the UI UX project with us. So in the right hand side, in the red corner, is the people that we will provide from Telstra Purple. In the middle part, there is a core delivery team. Usually it's made out of a senior consultant and then a junior consultant with someone like a project manager who will work with what we call a product owner or a project lead from the customer side. In this case, we work very closely with Calvin from Touch. So he is the project lead from Touch side. But also, very importantly, we also need to engage some other key stakeholders. Usually, we recommend 1 or 2 representatives from different departments. Again, how many departments we need to talk to, how many people that we need. We will also work with you when we kickstart the project to kind of get more understanding of your current organization layout. So next slide, please. And so I'm gonna try to, what all the double diamond methodology of what I just shared earlier, I'm gonna use Touch as a case study, so you can kind of like map out and visualize what are the activities that you can expect. The next slide, please. So very beginning, from before we even start the project, this is the problem statement. Anita and Touch and Calvin from Touch, they reached out and then they were saying that there were feedback from the end users. The one Touch system was too complex and very difficult to use, and they would like to see how they can analyze and envision what a more streamlined future would look like. Some of the user feedback that they gave us is like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. I always need to refer to a user manual before I can know what to click on. There are too many steps to get to where I need to get to. And then there was this very interesting one. One lady told us that she had to like 误打误撞, which basically means from Chinese it means accidentally I click here, click there, and then suddenly it works already. So this is the problem that was first given to us. And from here, we go through the double diamond methodology in the next slide. So this is in the first diamond, we're gonna go through the double diamond methodology. And the next slide, please. So the first part, we diverge out. It will ask a lot of questions across a period of 8 weeks. We researched and we conducted many interviews and discovery workshops with all of the stakeholders involved. We also even went to the extent of experiencing a day in the life as a volunteer. And going to the next slide, please. So these are some of the snapshots of what we have done. So we actually gone through the entire volunteer experience to really know firsthand what it's like to be a volunteer, all the way from registering of interest, getting onboarded, filling out all the forms, and getting my first volunteer briefing and actually doing the volunteering activity, which is in this case, doing a delivery run to some of the elderly in the neighborhood. So that really gives us a lot of insights into how volunteers experience is like. Is it seamless? Is there a point that we can improve in terms of the app, of how we can go about doing the volunteer activity? We also understand more about the back end, back office. How do the volunteer administrators create a new volunteer activity? How do they plan the schedule to get people move around using the one-touch system? Besides this day in the life as a volunteer, we also go and conduct a series of hybrid remote plus in-person workshops. So we gathered all the different stakeholders in the room. We understand from them what is the different user groups, the different departments that are using the system, what is their end goal, and why do they need to do this process this way. And then we really mark out all the user pain points along the way, which leads me to the next slide. So along the way, we ask a lot of questions, and users will point out to us, and we will also do our own analysis of the system at the moment. Oh, this is the good and this is the bad. And then we have identified a lot of all those pain points, capture them out in a nice report that Touch also has access to, that they can use to improve on. But after all these pain points are captured, we go to categorize them, which is in the next slide. So we categorize them, we make sense of all the data that we have captured, and then we kind of prioritize them into the most important ones. So navbar navigation issues, the form table layout is all the main and core functionality that we need to fix first, that will really drive better user experience. Next slide, please. And then this is where we start to go into the second diamond. We know all of the pain points. It's now time to ask, how might we improve the situation? The next slide. So we start asking ourselves this question: how might we reduce user frustration, or how might we improve the speed to form completion? And through a series of design workshops, after a period of 3 months, we came up with more than 104 UI pages. They kind of illustrate for every service that Touch is using one touch system, all the different workflows from the beginning to the end, and really try to streamline and flatten the UI to make it as little click as possible. And this is the table that shows you all the different steps that on a high level, how many clicks before, and how we have looked at every single action and see how we can make it easier. And in some cases, even reduce to 0, because we noticed, for example, in line number 2, item number 2, which highlighted in blue, for example, if you have to do this step, we noticed there's actually a downstream activity that you also key in the same data again. Then we will think about how we can automate and reduce that step altogether, so it's all automated and the same data don't have to key it in twice. And this is how we get to this 59% reduction in number of clicks, and really reimagine the whole UI, more flattened, easier to use, a call to action prominently placed, so that the staff can find it easier for them to navigate around and takes less time to get to where they need to get to. So the last slide, next slide, is really my summary slide. Is at the end of a UI UX project, what can you expect? And at the end of the project, the first one is really a UI mockup that helps to envision the future state, and this really helps you to pave the way for development. So this UI mockup, you can potentially go to a developer and tell them, hey, this is the flow of what I'm looking at. This is kind of the UI mockup that I want, and then they can then take this forward to the next step. There's also a very good insight that's generated from this exercise. You now know what are the users, the processes that are all now captured in the nice report. In the past, I believe for now we have captured all of the touch processes into a single main giant report that they can easily now reference to and tell their employees, this is the process that we follow, and this really has helped them to get that insight for touch, and also potentially for your organization as well if you embark on the UI UX project with us. And last but not least, alignment between teams. So there were instances during the UI UX project where one group, one department may say, I have this pain point, and another department will also tell us they have the same pain point. So actually, different departments, they were not really talking to each other, but they have the same problem. So through our workshop and through us working together, we managed to get all of the teams together and also understand, a lot of people are facing the same issue. Let's prioritize them further up. And then that's how we can, plan the next step forward together and really come up with a UI mockup that works for everyone. So that's my final slide. I think I'm gonna pass on to Caesar, who's gonna talk about more on the Leighton's, how you can engage us via Leighton. So Leighton.
Thanks, Ling. Thank you. Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me. Okay, so yeah, my name is Caesar. I'm the enterprise director for Leighton. I think it's been a great pleasure working with Telstra team in terms of the previously known as the IT Talent Hub initiative with NCSS, and it has really been great working with NCSS through this project. So maybe just let me explain a little bit why Leighton got ourselves into these collaborations with NCSS, right? So next step, please. Next slide, please. So basically, who are we? Leighton is a CET partner with SSG and WSG, Workforce Singapore, as well as Skills Future Singapore. Primarily, we are a training provider, but the way that we do things are a little bit different. So we support enterprises in recent years in their digital transformation journey, right? So to date, we have served more than 2,000 enterprises in terms of providing them with the talent solutions, as in manpower, IT manpower, upskilling of the internal workforce, digitalizing the workforce itself, and of course, helping them in terms of self-service technology implementation, right? So, and I think this is one of the main reasons why we were chosen by NCSS to work on this itself, because Leighton to date actually churns out a lot of IT professionals. So basically, we convert non-IT professionals or non-IT people into IT professionals and place them into the industry, right? So we have served more than 50,000 learners, and we are currently in about 100. We are working with almost about 100 universities in Pan Asia, converting these traditional universities into applied universities, because we strongly believe that whatever that you are learning in class or learning in school has to be applied, or able to be applied at the workplace, right? Last but not least is really our completion rate. It's more than 90%. I will share a little bit about how we are able to achieve the completion rate at this rate itself, because I resonate a lot when Anita was sharing with regards to the issues that Touch is facing. In fact, it is not surprised that when the survey was done earlier during this presentation, it's the 61% of us actually finds that the cost of getting a skilled person is a challenge. In fact, in today's context, it is not only about the cost, it is really about the availability, right? Because they are due to the nature of transformations, digital transformation, there are a lot of demand, right? Looking for IT professionals. And however, as you know, the number of graduates that's being churned out by our institutions in Singapore, it's not enough, right? Hence, in the recent years, you will see that there's probably a 30% increase in terms of salary for IT professionals, right? So this makes our job easier in Leighton because we do a lot of placements, right? And these placements are part of our KPI in terms of reskilling the workforce in Singapore itself, all right? So hence, this is not the only, this is not what the SSAs are facing, but generally this is actually the main issues that a lot of enterprise that we served are facing, right? And because it is very difficult to find internal IT talents or external IT talents who understand, first of all, your organization processes, the functions, as well as the culture. So that's why we emphasize a lot in terms of internal reskilling of your current workforce. All right. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. So in terms of helping our existing enterprises in their transformation, right? These are the 4 pillars that we literally look at. First of all, we look at the workforce itself. You need to have an agile workforce. Digital leadership is very, very important. Agile management, as what is being mentioned, by the earlier speakers. Next, we really look at connected workplace. When it comes to enterprise applications, this can be the system that you're using, the CRM solutions, ERP solutions, right? Some of the management solutions that you are using, but not forgetting how do you then streamline a lot of these manual, repetitive workflow. So we talk about robotic process automations, how we are able to help them to do that. Not forgetting the omni-commerce, because we serve a lot of enterprises that is really B2B, B2C kind of business model. So training the traditional sales to be digital sales, going into omni-channel marketing, right? And then this is purely on the customers engagement part, but not forgetting about data analytics. How are you able to analyze the data that you have? And then looking at artificial intelligence. So what I'm sharing here, it's not really about buying a solutions, but really to look at how you are able to reskill your current workforce so that they will be able to apply these solutions internally in little what we actually call them self-service implementation, right? Next, please. Okay, traditional training or reskilling doesn't work, because this is probably one of the reasons why a lot of clients that we work with disregards reskilling as a very important thing, because they think that it doesn't work. But however, if you look at how Lytton is doing it, it's very different. Okay, we work with industry practitioners who will be a mentor that will be working with the team itself, and we bring in live projects itself. So next slide, please. You understand a little bit more. So in a typical scaling, what we are looking at is that 10% of the time is actually spent on the knowledge acquisition, right? And then on the 20% of the time, you'll be actually working with a mentor, right, to solidify what you have probably understand, right, through the e-learning and flip class activities, etc. But in real case, in what we really do a lot is that we spend 70% of the time implementing live projects with your internal workforce. So 70% of the time is really a lot of mentoring, hand-holding, so that we are able to implement. For example, if you're looking at data analytics capability, the mentor will be working with your internal team, all right, to really mentor them how they are able to build that up, right? So this is not a typical skilling where you send someone for training, after 3 days, the person come back, try to implement it, because it doesn't work. So what we do is that we put in the implementation during the training itself. Okay, next slide, please. So based on the IDPS packages that we have actually came out with the help of NCSS, Tracy and the team itself, we have identified these are some of the pre-scopes, pre-packages, and these are some of the skills that is necessary, right? That if you want to build your internal capabilities, right? We actually have these programs that is, or these skilling modules that is ready, right, for you, right? But what is most important is this. Next slide, please. Right, actually, one of the things that I think the cost of getting a skilled person is probably a challenge. Training or reskilling is never. So in fact, with the support of SSG and WSG itself, we have recently started as we call it the digitalization starter pack. So what we did is that we identified 8 projects that we would be working with the enterprises. So this includes things like digital fluency, marketing, content marketing, omni-channel sales, process automation, data analytics, AI chatbot, agile management. So these are projects that we will be working with various organizations, and these projects are heavily funded by SSG. At the same time with WSG as well. So enterprises are able to tap up to 90% of the training grants, right? And these are pre-approved funding. There's nothing for you to apply, right? So these are applicable for SMEs as well as non-SME as well, right? You will be surprised on the next slides that I'm showing you, but please don't be taken aback. So typically, if the organization were to send one person for each of these projects itself, right? The total fee is probably 43,000, but bear in mind, these are pre-approved funding. So after the funding itself, you are only required to pay $5,500. Right, and of course, we will work with you in terms of the grants and the fundings itself. There is a skills future for enterprise credit. You know, you can claim the SNC payroll. You can claim salary funding. You know, in supporting of some of the reskilling that can happen internally for your internal capabilities building. There is a salary funding that is coming through, right? So averagely, if you look at it itself, the actual investment here is about 113,000. And if you would look at it, it is being bracket, right? So this is how much you are actually getting back. So what we are doing now is that for interested organizations, what we do is that we will go down to understand where you are coming from, how you are going to transform, who are the people that you are looking at, etc. And we will be able to come up with a rough gauge in terms of the funding that you're entitled to. All right, so I think this is my last slides, right? So yeah, so if you are really keen to find out more about training grants, how you are able to look at reskilling your current workforce, you know, etc., please contact my colleagues here, who's Adeline, all right, who's my senior enterprise business manager, as well as Edwin, who is my enterprise business manager. Thank you so much. So I shall pass the time back to Tracy. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Anita, Jisheng, and Siva. Okay, so today's theme about build or buy. I think at this point, we can kind of summarize some of the pathways that our SSAs can take. So if you are thinking of building, one of the ways is to get your staff to go for training, and it is not the traditional kind of training attendance that we're talking about, and it's what Caesar has pointed us. So it's a 70-20-10 training model, where you not only go for the training sessions, but actually a lot of that time is going to be devoted to on-the-job training to ensure that your staff acquires the competency. So there's one pathway that you can take, that is training. The other pathway was what Touch has taken, also on coaching consultancy. So they have also worked with NCSS, where we supported them on a coaching consultancy, where we work with them on an IT project and we coach them the necessary IT skill sets. So that is under consultancy. So for that one, it is also under the build. So what if you have shorter term projects or more urgent projects that you have in place, then that is when you can consider to buy. And that I'll come to this IT professional services grant. And with this grant, we really hope to support SSAs on shorter term projects, such as the UX UI project for One Touch, which is what Jiseng has shared with us. So UX UI is one of the services that we provide under IT professional services grant. So if you decide to buy, we will be working with Litton to identify qualified consultants like Telstra Purple. So we will have consultants like Jiseng who will be working with your organization over a period of maybe 3 to 6 months to meet your IT needs. So what are the IT professional services that are covered under this ITPS grant? Okay, so we have worked very hard, together with Litton and consultation with the various stakeholders to come out with these 10 pre-scope packages. Okay, so pre-scope ITPS packages, there are 10 over here, and these are based on the SSA's common IT needs. And we will provide IT specialists with the ICT skill sets in order to fulfill these services. Okay, so I'll just like to do a quick breakdown into these 10 packages. Okay, so basically we can see these 10 packages in 4 different parts. So we have 3 packages that are closely linked to infrastructure and network. And I think infrastructure is also one of the key needs. In fact, at the pre-registration, we have received inquiries about, how do we access IT experts, in infrastructure or in network who can support us. So these are the 3 packages that you may want to look into. Okay, and the second group is actually around data. So we also have collected a lot of inquiries from SSAs to say that, I'm migrating out of my legacy system. I have new systems, or I have a different kind of systems that I need to, kind of combine data, but I don't have a data migration strategy. So you can also tap on our ITPS grant to get the specialists to help you in the data migration. Okay, and then we have the third set, which is related to software. So we have a software configuration, software integration. So you have many existing systems or softwares, and you're not looking to acquire more, but you're just thinking through how you could integrate them into a more seamless platform. Then you can think about leveraging on our software packages. And finally, the last block is on UX UI and the processes and project management. So the project that GC and Anita was sharing with us was on this package, UX UI, all right, that will help your organization to look over some of your current systems to see how you can streamline them to offer a better service user experience. Now, of course, we have package 9 and 10, which is more on looking over your processes or providing you with project management expertise to help you in your IT project implementation. So all in all, I would say that if you decided to buy, okay, and we hope that these, at least one of these packages will be able to meet your IT needs. Okay, so next slide, more about this grant. So the pre-scope package, you can choose the pre-scope package that best meet your needs. And we are putting the scope fairly flexible. So there's a base scope. So if you go to our website, you can look at what is the scope that's related to each of the packages. And it's flexible for you to remove whatever that is not required. And you can also include additional scope. So what is important is that discuss with us, right? And we'll be able to consult with you and to see, how to put together a scope that's going to meet your outcomes. So in this IDPS grant, we're going to make it very, very easy for SSAs. So you just require one quotation from Lithan. So Lithan will be helping us to source for the right set of expertise for the services that you require. The funding is up to 80%, capped at 50K per project. Right, so we estimate the total cost of the project to be around 50 to 60,000. So the co-pay amount, the 20%, maybe around 2 to 12K. But it really depends on the scope and the complexity. And we will disperse the funding across 2 milestones. 50% of the funding will be dispersed to the SSAs upfront, and then 50% upon project completion. And I think one of the key questions the SSAs will have is that, is there a cap on the number of packages that I can tap on? Can I do 2 or more at any one time? Yes, there is no limit to the cap. You can take on multiple packages as long as the scope and the deliverables are clearly exclusive. So with the same guideline that as we have always had, that we do not fund the same scope within a 3-year period. So as long as they are clearly different projects, that the scope is different, then we will see them as different packages and we will fund them as separate projects. But of course, at the same time, we need to ensure that your staff resources are available if you are doing multiple projects at the same time. Okay, next slide. So what is the process quickly? So first of all, we'll need you to attend an ITPS clinic. So this is very, very important and it's mandatory because we really need to talk to you about your needs and then put together a suitable package. As you can see that we have 10, yeah, and some of them actually you may need 1 and plus a little bit of 2 or 2 plus a little bit of 3. Yeah, so yeah, these are really just the reference facts, but we really need to talk with the SSA to understand what you really need and how we can fulfill the outcome, right? So attend a clinic and then Lithan will speak with you. They will provide the code and the SOW, which will clearly state what the KPIs and deliverables are in that project. Okay, so if you are okay with the quotation and with the scope of works, and that's when you can apply for the grant on OSG, our Singapore grant portal. So you just attach the code and the SOW, and we take 4 to 6 weeks for the funding approval. So once we approve the funding, we will send the funding agreement on OSG to the SSA, and later at the same time, we'll also send you the SOW and the service agreement to sign. And once all the paperwork is done, we will disburse the first payment of 50%. And then we'll let the project take off. And when we complete the project at closure, we'll get your evaluation, and we'll need to see if we can achieve at least 70% staff or client satisfaction. And of course, we also require the SSA to submit outcome report to report on whether the deliverables have been achieved in a satisfactory manner. And at that time, we will do the final disbursement of the 50%. Okay, next slide. This is the most important slide. Okay, so everyone take out your mobile phones right now and scan those 2 QR codes right now. Okay, yeah, so this is the pre-scope IBPS clinic QR code. It's mandatory, and we're not able to share all the information about the packages in this webinar. So I'll ask for your help. Scan that QR code, go to our ITPS page, look through the scope and see if there's anything that caters to your need, and then come and register for a clinic with us. So we hope weekly clinics, so there are slots, different timings. So come talk with us so that we can understand how we can work on a suitable scope for you together. Okay, all right, so that's the most important slide there. And the next slide. So we do have other grants as well. So I think with many of the SSAs, we have been talking with you, and they've already be familiar, with our offerings, our tech subsidies, our consultancy subsidies. So we really seek to offer really comprehensive support. Whether it is just solutions, or is it consultancy, and right now professional services. Okay, so this is our website. Go look over it, and you can come to us at any time if you need additional support. Okay, now I want to do some call out on upcoming events and initiatives. We have a workshop that's coming up next week. And if you have not signed up for this, I would really encourage you to do that. Okay, this is a data analytics workshop. Okay, and we are launching Better Data-Driven Charities, BDDC, and we have worked with vendors to develop Power BI dashboard templates that will be free for all the SSAs to download. So we'll be putting this templates on our Tango website. And the key purpose is to help the SSAs, to adopt it quickly, and so that you have a standard dashboarding for you to look over all the data that you have collected in your organization. And there is to help enable the organization to make data-driven decisions. So this workshop is going to share, what these templates do, how you can use the dashboards, how you can control them and customize them according to your organization's needs, and really take and run and use them in your agency. So click on, scan this QR code, sign up for the launch event that's taking place next week, 31st July, and we really hope to see you there. Okay, the next call out. The next call out is we are going to also launch the next Digital Acceleration Index. We have done this 2 years ago in 2021, and we're going to do this again soon towards the end of this year. So it's really a call out to say that look out for our EDMs. I'll be chasing everyone again, to launch this and to have everyone participate in this survey, because it's really a very good indication and measure about where we are doing in terms of digital maturity as a sector. And it's very important to help guide us on how we can develop schemes and support initiatives to support digitalization initiatives of the sector. Okay, that's all I have today. I'm going to pass this time to my OD colleague to talk about OHFSS.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, my name is Faith, and I'm from the Sector Capability Planning and Development team. Yeah, so at NCSS, yeah, and our team actually looks at the organizational health framework for social services. So I'll just share quickly about that, because I think for today's session, we were zooming in on one particular domain, which is digitalization. And so actually, if we take a step back, similar to our own health, we also have to look holistically about all the different organs that we have and everything. So in the same way, we also want to look at our organizational health in a holistic approach. So actually in the organizational health framework for social services, we have 7 different domains. So actually, we wanted to share a little bit more about the OHFSS and how it can apply to your SSA. So the first way that it can apply is through the OHFSS self-assessment. So we have actually come up with a self-assessment where about 2 to 10 key representatives of the agency will be able to complete an online form, and then findings about your current state of organizational health will then be consolidated into an organizational health report. So if you are looking more in terms of having an objective and less sort of like biased view, then you can take a look at something called the third-party assessment, which is supported by the Organizational Health Diagnostic Scheme, which is the OHDS. Yeah, so this OHDS will be facilitated by our appointed consultant, and they will go through a diagnostic, and then they will also be coming up with a findings document as well as a 3-year strategy document. Okay. Yeah, so we would just like to take this opportunity to invite you all to our OHFSS workshops. So one concrete action that you can take from today after learning about our framework is to join us at the workshops. So the upcoming one will be tomorrow actually, but feel free to sign up now as well. We're still accepting signups. And then the next one that we will have after tomorrow is the 24th of August. Yeah, so during these workshops, what we hope to do is to introduce participants to what the framework is. So really dive deeper into the purpose and the principles behind it, as well as interpretation of the rubrics, because we'll be doing a self-assessment and we might kind of need some foundation, right, to understand what each of those scores mean. For example, what does fair mean? How does it differ from excellent and things like that? So the third component of the workshops will be a panel discussion. So fellow SSAs will be sharing about how they have benefited from looking more deeply into their organizational health and some of the development that they have done as a result of that. Okay, so this is more details about the organizational health diagnostic scheme. So as I mentioned earlier, we will go through a 6-month process, diagnose the current state of the org health, and then after that, we'll develop a 3-year strategy document. This will be in a consultation between the SSA and the consultant. And after that, we will ask the SSA to choose one plan from the strategy document and implement it within a year. So that really is just to ensure continuity, but do not worry about like having to meet certain targets or anything. I think we just want to see that the plan has been implemented. Yeah, and so there will be a funding support of 80% by NCSS and 20% by SSA, which is around less than 6K. Okay, so you guys can also take a screenshot. I mean, you can also scan the QR code, and I'm also going to now send all the links to our OHFSS workshop registration, OHDS information deck, and this step-by-step application guide, so that you can go in and see if you are keen to apply for OHDS, how you can do that through the OSG portal. Okay, so now I'll just pass the time back to Tracy for the Q&A.
Thanks, babe. Okay, we have come to the Q&A session, so we're going to spotlight all our panel speakers. Okay, so we welcome our participants to put in your questions. So maybe before that, I am just going to illustrate again, how this ITPS works. Because like many parties, and there are like questions like who plays what role. Okay, so SSAs, if you are interested in leveraging on our ITPS branch, and you work with us, NCSS, and we work with Lithan, and Lithan will look at your needs and they will identify suitable consultants to work on the project. So the consultants could be like Jisheng from Telstra Purple, and it can also be other consultants from other consultancy companies. So it really depends on what are the services, all the skill sets that are required for your project, and then NCSS and Litton will work together to identify the suitable consultant. Okay. All right. So, yeah, there's also another question regarding, if we are contracting, like third-party consultants, whether through Litton and then, Telstra, how can we be sure that their recommendation, can be used by our own vendors? Right, I think that's an excellent question. And that is really the prudent pre-assessment that we will do as well. Yeah, so we won't, give a recommendation that in the end you can't implement for sure. Yeah, so we will do the necessary pre-assessment to ensure that the recommendation can eventually be implemented well in the organization. Okay, so let's take a look at the questions over there. Okay, questions on what are our URLs, how to contact us. So after this webinar, we will be sharing the slide deck, which will have all the contact information. Yeah, so you could contact Litton via the URL. Yeah, so it will be Adeline and Edwin. Okay. Okay, let me see if there are any questions coming in. Do we have the spotlight on all the panel speakers? Let me see.
I'll do that now.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, let's bring on Anita, Jisheng, and Caesar. Okay. Do we have any more questions? Any questions for Anita on, the challenges in the SSAs, or questions to Caesar on the kind of training that is suitable for your organization? Okay, let's see. Or are there any other inputs or feedback, from any of the speakers after listening to everyone? Anything? Anita? Okay, I need to have you to type your question into the Q&A chat. Okay, let's see. Another question. Okay, if not, let me see.
Tracy, I think
Yes.
Meili raised her hand.
Yes. Are we able to? I don't know. We still need the question via the Q&A.
Yes,
chat.
correct. So Meili, maybe you could help us to type your question inside the Q&A function. Thank you.
Okay, let me see if there are any other questions coming in. Okay, we'll wait a little while for May. Okay, as a question that just came in, the question is whether the SSAs have to pay for the clinic. Okay, no, it's totally free. Okay, yeah, so it's a free clinic. So yes, it's an hour. We've scheduled it for an hour, and we will give some questions, ahead of the clinic. We'll send that to the organization to ask some questions so that we have some background information to prepare for the discussion during the clinic. So usually one clinic should be enough unless we are pending more information. So for example, if it's infra package that we're talking about, then if we have all the infra diagrams or all the information that is related to your infra, your network, then and we share it during the clinic, then that would be okay. But if we come to the clinic and we discuss and we find that, oh, the SSAs need to go back and do some data digging, then maybe we will need a follow-up session. But otherwise, just one session should be available and it's totally free of charge. So get that QR code, get the link, okay, and start booking that session with us. Okay, there's also a question on, do we have a package on data analytics? Yes, we do. If we go back to that slide, maybe it will help me to go back to the package. Yeah, maybe we should just keep our slide on that package. The previous one? Yes, the purple color one. Yes. Okay, yeah, so we do have two packages that are related to data, so data migration and data analysis. Yeah, so if you need to build a data dashboard, then you can come to us and talk about data analysis. But also we hope that you can leverage on the Power BI templates that we have built for the sector, and that's the BDDC webinar. It's not a webinar, it's a workshop. There's an in-person workshop, the BDDC workshop that we're doing next week on 31st of July. So that one will be giving you free Power BI templates that you can plug and play to build your own dashboard. But if you require additional customization or it's more complex data needs in your organization, then you can tap on ITPS to go for the data analysis package. Okay.
Maybe I'll also just add a little bit on the data analytics part. So I believe Leighton will do their they're searching for the right consultants and the vendors, but also sharing a little bit from Telstra Purple side, we also do have that data analytics skill set, but that one will have to break out data consultants. But mainly our technology stack is revolving around Microsoft, so Power BI, and building your data analysis pipeline to load, transform the data. That's also something that Telstra Purple has expertise in. So something I'll add to that.
Thanks, Jisheng. Okay, another question that comes in is like, does the IT project management stack with other packages like infra or data migration? So for IT project management, this is really the generic skill set, right? Like project management. And we really need to understand from the agency, what is the domain? Is the project management for infra project, for solution implementation project like CRM, or what is that domain of that IT project? Yeah. So if you are interested in tapping on ITPS to get a PM for your organization for a short-term project, then we will need to understand, what is the nature of that project. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, I want to answer this one. Okay, so for the pre-scope IT PS grant, is there a funding for cybersecurity? So we already have cybersecurity funding under the CSDP consultancy. Yeah, so that will be, so SSAs who are interested in cybersecurity packages, you can go under the CSDP consultancy. So you can tap on the CS Essentials, CS Trustmark, DP Essentials, DP Trustmark. So we have all that on our web page as well. So just go to consultancy subsidy, you'll see a section on cybersecurity. So that will not be covered under our ITPS. Okay. All right. Okay, there's this question to Leighton. So are there trainings to help SSAs to better manage vendors? Is that part of the scope of your training? Yeah.
Better manage vendor, probably not to that extent, but really in terms of agile project management, yes, we do that. And it's also supported by SSG. So yeah, perhaps that will help you to better manage vendors.
Okay, I think I'll just chip in on this one. I think there's many factors, right, regarding managing vendors. And I think one of the thing is maybe if you can speak the lingo and if you know where the vendors are coming from, it will be easier to manage them because then you're on the same page. A lot of times it's like chicken and duck talking, right? Yeah, so that's why it's like, hey, you know, they don't understand my needs and things like that. And we find that that's where conflicts arise in managing vendors. So I think going for additional training will help us acquire, you know, some level of those lingo that we can understand the landscape and the domain that will help us hopefully, you know, to level ourselves up better with the vendors. But maybe I also throw this question to Anita, right? Taj, right? What is your experience in managing vendors?
This is a very interesting question because I think when we first, or rather for myself, when I first started to engage the technical vendors, like what Tracy mentioned, I didn't understand what they were trying to say. And I tried very hard to help them to understand what I'm trying to say. Then I realized after a period of time that what is lacking may be a softer lens. A lot of the technical vendors come to us and then they speak very technical language and then they are coming to you with technical items. But whether you interpret this technical challenges into a problem that your colleagues are facing or not, it's not their job, it's our job. So I find myself having to come to the technical vendor to present the people perspective to the vendor. It is not just a technical solution. All technology or tech projects, right? It is all about people. But we find that there is a gap for the technical team when it comes to this. And especially in our sector where we are essentially dealing with people who are using the tech platform. Our volunteers are not able to use the platform properly. Our donors cannot use the platform properly. Our colleagues cannot use the platform properly. These are people challenges, but they interpret it with a technical lens. And sometimes there is a bit of difficulty in matching that expectation and that conversation. So you do need a mediator who is able to see both the people problem and the technical solution and try to match these two to a common middle ground. We find that the most challenging. So even though I don't have a IT background, but I have the people perspective and I bring that to the technical vendors and I explain to them how your technical solution is not solving my problem, even though it is a technical solution. So I do find this mediation or this capability to mediate between the technology and the people very critical in making your project successful and useful for your organization. Otherwise, we may inherit something that is being built by the tech people, but actually it might not be useful for us at the end of the day.
Thanks so much, Anita. Yeah, really, it's not a straightforward answer. It's the tech skills plus the people skills. Yeah, that needs to go to this. Yeah, and I will just say that actually in our coaching consultancy, in that case, you know, in a coaching consultancy, it might help the organization. Yeah, because the consultants will actually handhold you on, you know, in a vendor evaluation and the whole process. So hopefully through that, you will gain some experience and exposure in working with your vendors. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to answer one more question here. Okay, there's a question about, you know, if you want to do a new system revamping and all that, is ITPS the right place? Okay, so if you are looking at a solution, then you should go to our tech subsidy because you are looking to really purchase a new system, new software, in which the services are usually bundled together when the vendor provides the solution itself. So the ITPS is pure professional services. So which means that you already have a system, maybe you have licenses to some of the software, and you need professionals, with this skill set to help you with some of the internal IT needs. And this is where you will come to ITPS. Okay, so all right, I think that's about the time that we have. Okay, and then we have some other questions that I think we will try to answer offline. It's mainly on the training and also the grant. Okay, so before we end, I would like to help to please do this feedback for us. let us know how we're doing so we can provide more topics that are relevant to your needs. And of course, come to us if you have questions, whether it's OD related and go, or if you just have inquiries on the overall CCT funding. All right. And I hope you have caught the QR code to our clinic. But if you hadn't, you just fill up this feedback form and indicate that you are interested in applying for our ITPS, and we will contact you as well. Okay. All right. Any other final words from our speakers before we close up? Maybe one final word from each one. Ladies first. Anita, I'm coming with you.
Thank you, Tracy. I think this is a really very informative and wonderful session for SSAs to be better equipped with the information that we need in order to embark on the digital transformation journey. And it is not an easy journey. It will be painful, but I think we all bear in mind the fact that when we do this piece right, it will eventually benefit our clients in terms of elevating our service delivery, service quality. And I think in the long term, it will do good to all of us, and it really will help us to do good better. So that's my encouragement to all of us in the sector, to start small, but start it somehow. Thank you.
Thank you. Start small, but start it somehow. Thank you. Okay, Jisha, over to you. Any last words?
Again, really excited, and I think this is a wonderful session, and what Anita said, that we have so many grants and available for the SSAs to tap onto, and really some of our expertise that normally without this grant, I think it would not be possible for us to work with a lot of the charities and non-profit organizations today. But it really helps us to bring some of our enterprise level knowledge and the skill set that we work with, like the big MNCs in the world, and bringing that knowledge also to the SSAs and non-profit organizations here. So I really hope that many of you will take advantage of all the packages, and hopefully we'll see each other again.
Thanks, GC, for being our packages spokesperson. Okay, Caesar.
Yeah, really very informative. I'm really looking forward to work with the SSAs in their transformation journey. Yeah, so looking forward to work with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all our participants. Thank you for sharing your afternoon with us. I hope you have completed the feedback form, and we are looking forward to see all of you at our clinics. Okay, so go book them. We'll see you. We'll talk with you. Tap on our grants. Connect with us. Okay, have a very nice afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.